On this episode of the Black Mosquito, we are gonna get horny. So folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, on this episode, we are going to be getting horny with the 1988 Rover Mini. This is no erotica, so please don't get excited. That's not on this channel. We are going to be fitting a set of horns to it. We have a low and high tone horn. As you know, on a classic Mini, it does sound pretty pathetic, the standard horn. So we've gone with a set of upgrade high and low tone horns. These run at 510 Hertz as well as 410, so a really decent sounding horn. It's going to be quite loud for such a small car to tell those idiots in front of you, get out of my way. So these go behind the driver's headlight on the right and front side. So we're going to get fitting those. Now before we do, we're going to make sure they work. So I've got a battery kicking around somewhere here. We're going to apply power to it, make sure they work before fitment. Otherwise we wire it all up, find out they don't work, and we just waste our time. Right, so I found a snap-on battery in which we're going to use to test it. I do have a vehicle battery over there, but unfortunately that thing is dead. So all we're going to do is just look at the bottom of the battery terminals. We have a negative and we have a positive. I've got the horn rigged up to a small circuit. Essentially, we're just going to earth one of these and apply power to it. It is going to be pretty loud, so I'm just going to put my hand over it just to make sure that we don't wake up the neighbours, or worst case, my kids. Give it a little test. Cool, so we confirmed that one works. Let's grab the next one and test it. All right, so we do the same thing. That was the high tone. We now just need the low tone. Like I said, it is a good idea to make sure that you test stuff like this, especially before you go and fit it, because the last thing you want to do is fit it and find out that it's cactus and have to pull it back apart. Cool, so high and low tone, both work. Now let's jump inside the car and get these fitted. All right, so here we are in front of the driver's wheel. As you can see under the wheel arch, we have the shock absorber, we have the headlight bucket, and this ducting just here. The ducting actually enables the air to come through and go inside the engine bay and route it towards the pod filter. So what we need to do is work out exactly how and where these are going to go in terms of the horn. I originally thought maybe we mount it down below here, but it's probably not going to be a great idea because it's going to be super close to ground and it's probably not going to be overly transparent going through there. So what we might do is hide it up the top here and then maybe mount them something like this, so they are probably facing upwards. I think it's probably going to be the best bet if I can just flick that around. Have it mounted something like that. Oh, something like this, should I say, facing upwards, and then we can just have it tucked up under here, and they both just kind of mount off the same bolt. That way it'll enable it to have decent sound. Actually, probably facing up is going to be probably a bad idea. We'll have it facing down. I think that's probably going to be a better option. Have it facing down, something along those lines, and then I can just route the wiring up through there. The wiring can probably actually come through the top of this hole just here, I reckon. So let's just have a quick squiz and see what we think. Yeah, I guess we could do that, or we could just mount it directly to the body with that screw hole. That could probably work. Have maybe one here, and then the other one beside it, like that. I think that'll probably work. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. All right, let's go ahead and do that, work out what size these are, and then we can drill a hole up through here and then another one up through there. All right, so off camera, they did come with a couple of these little brackets in which you can just use to mount, and they've got two different size holes. So there's a larger one and there's a smaller one. Essentially, I just winged this and stuck them in the vise and made two opposing brackets, and they're almost identical to each other. Like, I literally just fluked this and just kind of, oh, it's about 45, that's about 45. So what I'm going to do is mount it together like this. One horn will go on either side. See if I can just undo that. I was just playing with this off camera, so just give me 1 second. And we'll go something along these lines. Put one there, and then the other one will sit on the other side. That way we only have one hole in which we need to drill inside the guard rather than two, and just make it quite messy. Right, so all we're going to do is going to grab the horns. We're going to attach it through there. These also have a relay as well, which we need to run. A relay enables you to switch a larger current using a smaller current, just FYI. So I'm just going to wind that straight onto there, and the same thing will happen with the other one, and we just kind of position that to where we need it. Just make sure that we're using the right one. Yep. It's got a washer and a nut supplied with it. We do have extra brackets if we need to use them. I don't think we will, but you never know. It's going to sit something like this. Oh, that nut's loose, my bad. Not even prepared. What sort of host am I? Crikey. I think I'd have my shit together. All right, it's going to sit something along those lines, just like that. Or like that, where it mounts to the body. The terminals are exactly the same size at the top. There is no positive and negative, so we should be right to mount those wherever we need. I'm just going to go and nip these up and just make those brackets in line with here. That way it's parallel. We can tighten those up and then drill a hole that's probably ½ inch, maybe 5/16 into the inner wing panel. Mount that, and then we can work on mounting these through the use of a relay. Right, so as you can see there, I am drilling just into the plate that's been made for the air intake duct. It is quite close to it. However, it's going to help bring it closer to it. The fact that we're using the horn brackets to be able to clamp it, it's going to bring it that little bit closer, which is good. And it's not going to impair the air intake duct whatsoever. Up on the inside of the guard, I also do have a bit of masking tape as well to save the drill bit from wandering and damaging the paint. That one will go there. This is where it's going to come fun. I'm probably going to have to fan-doogle it and get Alright, this is where it's going to become fun. Need to try and hold both of them. Or I might try and do it the other way, so put the bolt through and then the nut on the opposite side. That's probably going to be a smarter way of doing it, I think. Yeah, that's going to be a better option. Alright, so up on the inside under the guard, just hold it with my finger. And up at the engine bay, I'm just putting a nut and a washer on there, just so I can pull it through. Once I start to tighten it, I'll then just reposition the horns underneath the guard so they sit in the right position. All right, there we are, tight. Alright, so next part's going to involve our multimeter. We're going to use that to make sure that we have the right plug to check the wiring. So I'll just grab the camera and bring it over here. So this one here, I believe, is the wiring plug. Well, you can't even see it, sorry. That's the wiring plug there. That purple with a black trace that comes from the horn. So what we're going to do is we're going to test continuity between here and the horn and make sure that it has continuity there. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this now. It is quite easy because we have the dash out of the car and also the windscreen. So we're going to set it to ohms. This one actually beeps when it has continuity. You can choose to do it without it. So essentially we're just listening for that beep there. Pretty straightforward. So continuity means that current is able to flow. So I'm just going to jam that one in there. We are then going to come up inside the car. So let's just adjust it up through here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Try and get as much length on that as we can. We're going to go inside the cab. We're going to find the plug, the back of the ignition switch with the purple and black wire. And then once we hit continuity, should hopefully hear that beep. All right, fantastic. So that's exactly the wire we need. That wire is purple with a black trace. So that's the horn wire there. So now that we've confirmed that, we can then run that wire directly to the horn. So this one just down in here, I'll just reposition the camera so you can see. This wire here is going to go to the horn. We're going to splice that and we're going to run it to either side. So there's 2 terminals per horn. We're going to split that and we're going to splice it so one goes into 2, so it'll go to both horns. And then from the other one, it's going to go splice into 1 again. We're then going to run it up to a constant power inside the fuse box, something that just runs all the time, so things that run like the clock and particular items like lights. I'll run that through the relay and then we will have the circuit pretty much wired up. It's pretty straightforward, it's not overly difficult. I'll run you guys through how to do it in a second. Right, so off camera I drew a little mud map, a little wiring diagram of what we're going to be doing and how to wire up this horn assembly. So let's have a quick look and see what we've got. So we have the vehicle battery here. We have the ignition switch. The power wire is going to go directly to the ignition switch, which it already does. From the ignition switch, it's going to go to the horn switch. So that's obviously naturally open because you don't want the horn running all the time. We're going to install an inline fuse in that purple and black wire that runs down to where this would normally go directly to the horn. So it's going to come to terminal 86 on the relay. From number 87 terminal on the relay, it's then going to go to the positive side of the horn, or at least a side. We're going to splice that and just join the wires together, so that way it just piggybacks off it. The negative side, so the other side of the horn, those are going to also piggyback together and go back up to earth. So this is earth just here, that little squiggly line. We also have terminal 85, which from the relay, it'll go back to earth. And then we have terminal 30, which is power from the battery as well. So that's just going to splice off. We'll find a terminal 30 power supply and run it directly to the relay. So pretty much how it's going to work is when we hit the horn, it's going to close this circuit. It is then going to create a magnetic field, which is then going to close the contacts, which is then going to apply the power through the horn, hit the horn, and then it's going to earth, and then that's how it's going to work. So let's have a look at the car and see what it is exactly we're going to be doing to it down on this side. Oh, I don't have my lights on, sorry. Good thing I've got my trusty GoPro torch. So this comes directly from the horn itself, this one here. So as I said, this is purple with a black trace. We're going to splice everything off from here. So we'll probably mount the relay, maybe down on the front wing panel somewhere, wherever there's really room, just so we can try and hide it down the front there, and then just run the wiring maybe up along through here along the harness, and then maybe in through that grommet there as well. There is a hole just down there where my finger is at the moment. That way we can run it directly through there. We've got the horns mounted up under there, and then we can just splice it off the back, and we should be right to make it work that way. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We do want a fuse in line as well. We just want to make sure that if anything was to go wrong, it'll blow the fuse first. Last thing we're going to be doing is running extra wiring and not fusing it, and then finding that something shorts out and then just burns the car literally to the ground. All right, so off camera for the last 2 nights, I've been wiring this thing up. We've got the horns mounted on the inside of the guard, so pretty much just under here. We've got the wiring run. Everything's just loose at the moment, as you can see. There's just loose wiring everywhere. I've just kind of rigged up the circuit just to make sure it works. Essentially, now we're just going to go and test it. So long as everything works fine, and hopefully I've done it right, we can then, off camera, I'll just tidy everything up, reroute the wiring. It is important to try and make sure that you run it through pre-existing holes, so whether it be a hole in the body, you're running wire through, whether it be along an existing loom, whether it be to a earth point on the body, Those are sort of things that you want to make sure you try and do and stick with the original factory mounts for points like that, especially things like earthing points or even power wires. The reason why that is if you have a central point in which it earths, for instance, you know that if you have any issues, it's likely going to be there. If you run a set of spotlights, you run a separate radiator fan, you run, in our case, a separate earth for the horn, you start introducing more potential issues. If you have an issue with something and you've got a bad earth, then you know where exactly to go. If you've got 3 or 4 different circuits in there, in the engine bay, then a couple inside the car and in the boot, it can get overwhelming. So take it from me, Tomo's tech tip would be to make sure that you run an earth to the same point or the closest earth point you possibly can. Now, it is worthwhile noting as well, the longer the piece of wire, the higher the resistance. So the more resistance in a circuit, the less current is able to flow. So if you look at it like a drain pipe, if we have no resistance, the water can drain all the way down. So say, for instance, from the gutter. If it is blocked with leaves and dirt and just crap, it's going to have higher resistance. The more resistance that's in there, the less water can flow. Therefore, if it works exactly the same as a car with a piece of wire. So if we run an earth that's, say, 6 to 8 inches long, it's going to have less resistance than an earth cable that is 60 inches long or 3 meters. So it's important to make sure that you keep that in mind when doing this sort of stuff. So let's go in, let's test it. You'll probably hear the fuel pump prime. It is completely dead. I probably should put some fuel in it just to help prime the engine, but I won't do it just yet, just in case we run the pump excessive and then we just create a massive fuel leak. When we get to the point of when we're going to start it, I would certainly want to run that stuff and just make sure everything's fine, that there's no fuel leaks there whatsoever. So everything's connected, I believe. Yep, it's on there. We've got an earth point, got the power. All right, so we go. Yep, so that's ignition there. Now I'm just going to stick my hands in the horn just to make it a little bit quieter because my kids are in better sleep at the moment and I don't want to be waking them up. Yep, cool. Horn works. So that's it. That is exactly what we needed to do in this episode. Wire up those horns and get it operational. A dual tone horn is a great way to go if you want to try and make your mini just put my teeth back in. If you want to make your mini sound a little bit louder and be seen that a little bit more. As we all know, classic minis are small enough as they are. Last thing you want to be doing is getting pulled out in front of with a truck and just hitting that horn and pretty much it just being obsolete. There's no point in having some silly little horn. So a dual tone horn is the way to go, if not a set of air horns, trumpets, whatever it is, a musical horn or whatever you want to do, whatever's legal in your state or country, I would recommend going with that. But yeah, definitely upgrading, even just like helitone horns, whatever, just something that's loud. It is worthwhile. And especially the fact that it's in the guard as well, it has that resonance as well. It can kind of bounce off there and create that little bit more sound. So off camera, I'm going to tidy up all that wiring. I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to tidy some more wiring. It's just the front for the engine bay. The front lights need to be wired up, so I'll probably do that. Next episode, what are we going to do? I don't actually know. I'm just kind of spitballing numbers here. I did create a list of stuff I'm going to do, so not entirely sure what we're going to do next. I might just keep chugging along. We're still waiting on the brackets to come back from Josh to do the AC compressor and the alternator. I have started painting the front timing case. I'll probably put that on. There's no real point doing that. I've shown you guys how to do that before. That's it for this episode. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series. It is coming up to the end of Feb at the time of filming this, so we've got just over a month to get this thing done, so I really need to put in some serious hours. Fingers crossed we can make it. Will we? Don't know. Catch you on the next episode.